Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea only on WINNmedia 98.9.
Good morning, and welcome to another episode of Island Tea with your faves, Kevon and Amali, featuring Azem on the ones and 96s, and Jade, who just had me swindled. She told me my microphone was on when it wasn't, and so me here banging my mouth, introducing the show, with nobody listening, because I wasn't live. But here we are. Let's try this again.
No listening, they just weren't hearing.
So let's try this again. It is Hump Day, Wednesday.
Hump Day.
It's the middle of the week. It's February 3rd, 8:04 a.m. And halfway through it, guys. Halfway through it again. We just have to do it like 50 more times. How many days in a week? How many weeks in a year? It's 54 or 52? I just never remember.
Yeah, 52
and
then 53 and sometimes 53. No? I don't know.
How many weeks in a year?
52.
52.
Yeah, 52.
52 point some. But on average 52. So you only have to do this 58 more times. Because we done down a month. So I'll just count 4 weeks for February. 4 weeks for January. So we only have to do this 48 more times. Anyway, so yeah. It's halfway through it. We just have to muster through it. You know what we forgot to talk about yesterday? What I witnessed.
Oh no, okay.
No.
Ignore Azem.
Yeah, so I was wrong, so just.
I forgot to mention what I witnessed on Monday, which was a car driving down 4th Street.
You mentioned it briefly, but we didn't get to go into it.
Right, and then I forget to go back to it.
But tell us a bit about that, because that does seem very interesting.
So on Monday, after the show, I was heading up 4th Street, Jade and I, and we both parted ways like at the top of 4th Street. Jade went to the left side of 4th Street to head to like gut direction, Church Street, and I was on the right side by Digicel. while waiting for the light to change to give me permission to walk, a rental comes zooming
Of
down.
course it was a rental. Tell us a rental. Let me ask about old people.
A rental comes zooming down Victoria Road through a red light
Ah.
as the one of the passengers proceeded to scream obscene things, which were quite funny.
Some
and
choice words.
some choice words as
Repeat.
as her driver ravaged through the light and ended up down into 4th Street. They then U-turned. U-turned. Well, 3-point turn.
3-point.
They did a 3-point turn.
On 4th Street.
On
after
4th
going on the
Street.
wrong way.
At that point, just take it down.
No.
Like
because
right-
there's many people watching him.
Like
at that
right
point.
there by, like,
Yeah, so
like
just own it.
You can't.
You know where- you know where-
back your chair, right? And just cools down.
Azem.
And watch them straight back in their face.
And that's what he gonna
Yeah,
watch
he
a lot
o-
of people
he-
because
the driver
everybody on
owned
4th
it.
Street gonna turn it.
and watch. And he owned it. He definitely,
You
he
got
did.
to own it.
The windows were,
You got to own it, Jade.
he owned it. So, you know, right, he did a 3-point right there by Farm Care, the pharmacy.
They really own
And
it.
then he was, and then when he turned, he owned it.
I tell you, when I see them as I let them go about the business, you know, I don't play with that rental.
You know what I mean? I don't do rentals because rentals, they're
You don't know who driving.
two types of rentals I always guess are on the road. A rental is one, the car don't belong to them, they don't care what happens to it.
True.
That's the driver. That's driver one, and driver two is who knows who's behind the wheel, because it could be we are rental. You want to drive?
Yeah, the thing is about it, a lot of times I see people in rentals, people who don't drive regularly.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is one of the things I tell people all the time. You only really start to learn to drive after you get a license.
Yes, which is
Because
very
people
true.
be like, they get a license if you look at drive. No, like, no, you could.
Boy, y'all laughing at. Man, like that.
Not Amali,
Oh.
Kevon. Like clockwork.
Let us proceed.
Man, come prepared, by. I was ready for this thing. But yeah, boy, you don't play them rentals. Trust me. You see
Yeah,
them,
I don't
let them go their way.
I don't play the game with rentals. I let them do what they need to do, because not me and that. But you know, such is that. Rentals and me and friends. But you know, many times, like especially during the holiday season, rentals almost push me off the road.
Wait, before we continue, we have to welcome Amali back.
That's
Which I can
that's
He
Yeah.
gave me choice words just now.
But that's a Mali.
I mean, I've
I mean, he has the same shape of a Mali.
you look Amali-esque.
The energy seems off.
I wonder why.
We got you after this. But he wasn't done for too long.
No, I
No,
actually
Mutula.
you returned very much sooner than I anticipated.
No, man, a lion. Man, a lion. When you have worked so hard,
Iron Lion from Zion.
exactly, movement of your people, Exodus.
Mm.
When you have worked so hard to be closer with the earth and with God,
Right.
don't
Can't-
hold it down for long.
Can't keep it down for long.
Can't keep it down for long.
Sila.
Sabali.
Mm.
Ah boy, but it wasn't corona, Kevon. It was a tickle in the throat that attempted to be a severe flu, but
Cut it out of the past.
yes,
That's what you gotta do. That's what you gotta do.
yes. Sometimes we get these things and we try to fight it and we try to push on and the otherwise best thing to do is just relax yourself immediately.
Mm. Just
Allow the
cool.
body to do its work.
Just cool.
Yeah, just relax.
Nip it in the bud.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think it was corona. I just don't want the tickle in the throat.
Oh,
Hey, the funny thing about it was, literally on Thursday and Friday, Amali was the one who brought up on several times. But it's flu here.
Mm-hmm.
It's flu serious, you know.
yeah.
This thing kicking people if it wasn't. Yeah, but
Yeah.
And I look at him.
Watch your white talk about the flu, yeah, the flu.
And then somebody went and cough in my face.
Willful.
Or talking to me and spittle.
Willful.
Transferred.
If it was
Culture
listening.
in. What is my name? Culture is culture in him?
From who was
Don't
he
know
on
what you're
with
gonna
traffic
He
talk?
ain't teaching
We're talking
nothing.
trash?
When the man said, and don't let nobody coughing on your face.
Yeah. But sometimes ain't even a coughing or sometimes it's just spray, you know, that you can't even see.
Yeah.
Microscopic particles that just emits from people's nose and mouth and just land on you and you ingest it. I want to know who it be because
I think
it's
Kevin
raw.
just roast you out there.
Huh? He just roast me out?
No, I was sorry, people with the spittle.
Yeah, but I want to know who it be because me taking it.
As the school children would say. What's your name? Dribble mouth?
Drew. Oh my lord.
Let me take a swig of my bush disease.
Me taking it.
But hey.
Maritanya Kamamoto.
So, yeah. We were discussing how I saw a rental driving down 4th Street on Monday.
Oh yes.
So,
That occurs a few times a year.
yeah.
Is it just me? I see as though every time we do work on the traffic lights,
Everything just goes haywire.
people start doing all kind of weird things. Ever realize that?
Yeah.
The day when they put on the traffic lights
For the first time,
But yeah, people just going down 4th Street straight.
All of a
like
sudden,
what-
that's
People were here all the time,
Imagine, we never went down 4th Street before the traffic lights,
Really?
Never, ever. But we get traffic lights, they figure it's time.
I mean, like couple times a year, people will go down.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah, but-
there's
but-
two things I would see. I would see people. One of the things that I see pretty regular, and I think this is on purpose, ain't like a mistake. People would come across Princess Street and then take a right down into the
Yeah, I've
circus.
seen that before. Yeah.
Really? I never seen that.
Yeah,
I've seen that
and
many
take the right
times.
down. They figure, but it's a quick job.
Yeah,
isn't it?
all right, dear. Let me just dip down.
Right, just dip down and then.
I
Dip
thought
down
about
until
it.
well,
I remember one time somebody dipped down and
Super
Rose was there.
I just about to say, what she think? She
The segue?
yeah.
She said,
And dipped in the
somebody
segue
dipped
and
down
put
and
up on
Rose
you.
was right there.
Especially late in the evenings. And
Yeah, they
then
just
the
swoop
other
down.
one is people would come up West Independence Square Street and join Kevon Street. I've seen that as well.
Or they take a left by National Bank or left by Hospitals.
Interesting.
They might take, depends on where they're
They-
going.
they
but I've
just
seen
come up
people-
and
I've
come
seen
out.
people come up all the
Interesting.
way to,
To McPenny's?
yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think I told you I saw somebody going across, going east and
North
not
Square
Square
Street,
Street.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's when they were doing a lot of roadworks in town, when they were paving
The Can Street.
Kevon Street, yeah. So I guess people were just doing whatever they feel.
They just need to get where they need to
Adapt.
go, so they just.
But during that time when you were working on Can Street, you could have now made a right turn onto West Square Street.
That was it was a temporary
Yeah.
fix.
You could have made a right onto.
Yeah, because you could
okay,
cross
yeah.
by the police station.
Yeah. Well,
And you
that-
only realize that when you reach.
you mean back to normal?
Back then, it felt so good.
Oh, like old times.
Just like old times.
Like last week. Anyway.
Everybody in here reminiscing about that right on the right on West Square Street now, man.
Why?
It's the simple things in life.
But really and truly, that's a big loss to the driving public, because
Community.
yeah, because when you basically, if you want to get down, let's say to the Bay Road or
into
whatever,
the east side of town,
right?
you have to go all the way down to Sandong Road.
Yeah, see, even
Yeah.
here,
Yeah,
Witty saying she see people drive up by National Bank. And
I think
people also drive down Miss Lack Road, which is a one-way.
yeah.
It used to be a two-way.
It used to be a two-way. That's why I
But-
don't jam like. But 4th Street, since I born,
Was never a two-way.
oh man.
This is what you get when you live in a nation that's just a joke.
Oh my lord.
Everything is just like one big sitcom. The people are
Network.
Aye, okay, man, just
yeah.
The entire country is a joke. Wow.
Everybody's just like it's just a giant sitcom. Like I'm waiting for somebody to yell cut, cause it don't make no sense.
I think it's the aliens' favorite channel.
Yeah, it really is. I think it is like a giant sitcom and a game show in one, and you just don't know when you're gonna win the prize or when you're gonna come to an end.
Think it's by the HBO of the universe.
Think it's I love you.
Is that thing fault, Element?
Why?
When you sing we're going on 4th Street like a crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And people took it literally.
Still taking it.
But when he sang it was literal. From what I understand, that was the first year 4th Street turned one way. An element came back and was on the road for Carnival and busted tune. After he went on 4th Street, he said, now we're going on 4th Street still. Somebody gave me that story in the yard last week.
Interesting.
He wrote that song there after he went on 4th Street.
Still.
After 4th Street was made a one way.
Right.
Apparently he was living abroad. He was already in the States and came back to Blandy Road and went down 4th Street. And I said, you can't go down there. He said, I'm going still. Tractor man, down 4th Street.
Oh, boy. Get one on the back with the iron.
I mixed Oaks on the drums. Oh boy.
Kevon, sweetie, do you have
You
anything
already
for us?
eaten?
Anything happening in the good old Caribbean?
Yeah, hunger. So
Unemployment.
what you over there
Hi,
eating?
Amali, I missed you.
What you over there doing?
Oh, okay, I guess you don't miss me too.
Okay. Good answer. It's like Family Feud. Good answer. Let's talk about some local news. Jade, you just always give me these things to read.
A lot of numbers in it now?
No, it's just sad.
I'm sorry.
Let me do this one first. Yes, sweetie, Amali get thumped in his chest by the flu, and I don't want to be thumped, so I'm keeping my country clean. So on tea time, that's a good one. The Federation records the 39th COVID-19 case. The Ministry of Health, in a press release, indicated that the Federation has recorded another COVID-19 case. In the full release, it says that as of Monday, February 1st, 2021, the Federation has confirmed one additional case of the coronavirus. The international traveler landed in the Federation on January 17th, 2021 from the United States of America. The patient has been in quarantine at one of the COVID-19 certified hotels since arrival. The patient was duly notified and is now in isolation. This additional case brings the total number of cases up to 39, with 27 cases for St Kitts and 12 cases for Nevis. And please note that 36 cases have fully recovered with 0 deaths. There are now 3 active cases, and the patients are being monitored as they are stable. And of course, the protocols are still in place. Keep your social distance. Wash your hands, sanitize, wear your mask, all that jazz. Don't spit on people.
Yeah.
Don't spit in public or in 4th Street drains
Or in any drain.
or in any drains. You know, just be safe and clean and sanitary.
Yeah. Speedy recovery to those with the virus, though.
Right.
I mean, it's so interesting that we put all these things in place, but we still get cases. Like, you have to have the negative test before you come and all of that. But anything can happen.
That don't mean a thing.
And this is why, you know, I was talking to
It means something.
I was talking to a friend I went to
we ended
school
up playing
to
like
college
90
with.
people one time.
I was talking to a friend I went to college with, and she messaged me to ask me if St. Kitts is open because she wanted to come here for spring break. I said, who? Stay with you there, you know? So she goes, so I told her, I said, well, you could definitely come, but you just need, you know, at least 14 days to quarantine because that's mandatory.
Instead of the clip. 14 days!
So I send her, I tell her 14 days, and she's like, oh, but if I come with a negative test, isn't that enough? I said, no, sweetheart, because people...
Yeah, it's enough for 14 days.
I said, yeah. So I told her, I said, no, because you come for 14 days with your negative test, and, you know, on the 7th day, when you get tested again, you know, have COVID. So
she could do the whole COVID vacation thing. Well, in a vacation, but you know where you have certain privileges at the hotel.
or
So
the
she could
tour
start her
stuff.
vacation
Or she
early.
could also book out the beach for the villa.
Yeah,
That
she could
too.
start. She just going to know that she gonna be by herself,
That too.
and that's
So-
okay.
And the security guards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a vacation, so.
Wave to them from the
Because people
house.
She
don't.
got the beach.
I don't think people
I
really
hope.
processing the fact that you have to go to a lab to get it, and you go to a lab to get it. What is it? 48 hours. 48 hours. That gives you a 2-day
On
window.
a Friday.
That gives you a 2-day window.
No, I mean, when you're testing in the States,
Oh.
right?
In the
I see when
States.
they-
In the States.
Oh,
So
wherever.
you have a 2-day window to be in contact with people since the test.
And some countries just
And
5
then
days.
and one
Then-
of those days is traveling.
Then you go to an airport, which is like a giant congregation.
stomping
and-
ground.
The stomping ground. So you go to the airport, and yeah, we have a call on the line. Call, good morning.
Hey, good morning to everyone.
Morning.
Morning, Amali.
Morning.
I call especially for you.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Today, the Tucker Clark School celebrating their 20th anniversary.
You serious?
Learn a little.
Yeah, they're having ceremony there this morning.
I remember that.
So I said, well, since you're always talking about it,
I've taken it with me.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go.
congratulations to the school, because two of my granddaughters went to the school. So to all the teachers, the former ones and the present ones,
Yes.
congratulations to Amali School.
We got
Oh.
Miss Candle one time.
It's Azem school
man.
too,
Music teacher and Dorothea Clark
yeah?
and Mr. Charles.
And hope you
Mr.
pay
Charles.
Elvis Charles,
Miss Tuckett,
Richardson.
Miss Payne,
Miss Payne, Miss Christmas,
And
Miss
Mr.
Mr.
Keynes.
Charles.
Miss Libert, who was the reading center teacher for all
Yeah.
those years. Help a lot of children.
Right,
too.
this is what I mean. So we have many members there. So I just I want to
And
make
Newton
sure
School was
this.
lick.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much, you.
God bless.
All right. Big up Newton School one time.
Big up Newton School.
It's the 20th
all
anniversary
the
of the
time.
Tucker Clark Primary School, but it's probably the 100th anniversary of Pastor School.
Partial school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, but I love Newton School, man.
Yeah.
I still just drive across there, you know. Like, I just drive across just to watch it.
Aw.
But one time I actually stopped there and took a walk through the school. Chills, by.
Yeah, like, the band, like, back in early school, like, we had a partnership, like, we donate, like, stuff and stuff. And Mr. Charles was there. So, like, I always like to go and see what's going on and thing, but,
Yeah.
yeah, man. Step
The
producing,
school, I
like,
really know
scholars
them.
by.
The school wants some work.
Yeah. But,
Well, all them.
well, I was just about to say all of them.
Ah, boy. When I went there and I pull up, the groundskeeper was there. Staff security guard. The man gave me the whole rundown, yeah. The man said, bye. It only look good, yeah. Because they painted every now and then, but the inside,
Need some
inside the walls, crumbling. So
Need
you need
some
some help. I
We
said,
gotta
bye.
fix our schools.
What you do?
But yeah, rough, you know, because there's a lot of them here.
A lot of schools.
Yeah.
A lot of schools, but
But if we
That
don't
need
have
to be
them
like- A special capital project that they're going to undertake like in 1 year, like we're allocating like X amount of millions to this project.
yeah. And the thing about it too, you probably have to be over the course of a couple of years because,
Yeah, people got to relocate and so.
well, I don't think they should do that. I think they have to do it in the summer vacation. You have maybe 2 or 3 crews and you do like 2 or 3 schools during the summer.
As in, no one knocking down, you know.
Bye, that ain't gonna happen.
It's not no one knocking down, you know.
That
Anyway.
ain't gonna happen. They have to do them in stages probably.
I waiting
Yeah.
for.
And then, but of course, I think probably prioritize which schools need the most work and what
Yeah.
like that.
And then we could install lockers. So
and then the
children
kids
don't
can
have
stop
to.
carrying them
Yep.
20-pound bags
Kevon and
around.
Amali do going to break off in the first week.
I know, because
You said that you had to wear this haul them off?
Yeah.
you know, children are not even just children.
Well,
What
kind of
Caribbean
cheap
children
lockers
are.
these? Put in good lockers.
Lockers
But
are
there's
cheap
there's no locker made on earth
for Caribbean
that could
people.
withstand an assault from like a 10-year-old, a 10-year-old boy.
But not just that, yeah. Like you know, like in North America, and so classroom standards are like a serious thing. Like a class A and more than the people ever.
Yeah.
Like for no reason. Like if the class full of children can't come,
Yeah.
that'll happen here.
No.
Oh, I'm
John
not
Dominic-
So
Yeah,
they will
private
build.
schools,
So they will
private
build a locker room to accommodate 6 classes at 30 students each, but classes are only like 42 students and so.
Yeah.
Amali, we were told to stop comparing ourselves to the US.
Okay, let me compare this to Europe,
He said
which is worse, huh?
we were told to stop comparing ourselves with places outside of the Caribbean.
Oh really?
Yes.
Oh, so we must not aspire to greatness. Okay.
No.
All right. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying countries outside the Caribbean are automatically great, but they do have some good practices.
Man,
No.
really taking on this, because we just stay knocking them same countries, eh? For the
They forget that
ridiculousness.
part. But anyway, carry on.
Yeah, they got ridiculous people, but you know, some of the systems are acceptable.
It's just like people, bro. You learn from anybody.
Like
Right.
the way that other countries, take pride in their national buildings.
And like countries have a metropolitan transportation system.
There's no problem in looking at other models and picking
Of
what
course
works and
not.
what doesn't work.
Really giving energy to
Right.
this,
Anyway,
Sorry.
so lockers is a good idea, but I was thinking about it for a while, and I was like, well, putting lockers in schools, somebody can break into the lockers, and after hours they can damage them and stuff. But
Yes.
I came up with an idea.
Uh-huh.
So for the Basti High students, I'm not sure how Washi works. I actually never been on the Washi
Washi
complex,
doesn't
but like you see where Mr. Hicks hallway was, like
Excuse me.
between the hallway could be lockers, and the lockers can be like closed with a cage at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like iron gate things.
Wait there. So you feel like locks will stop people?
No, but at least they're kind of
Extra level of security.
out of your way.
Okay.
It's kind of one of them things. It'll happen 2 or 3 times,
And then it'll stop.
and then it'll stop.
Because one, you're not supposed to put the valuables in it anyway.
Yeah, like that won't happen. Like people break into it once or twice, maybe 3 times, and then people will be like, okay, ain't what they are.
Azem, we live in a society where children break into things for breaking into things' sake.
Yeah, but that tell you it ain't gonna happen too often. Like main thing can just keep happening.
It gonna keep happening.
Yeah.
So
But
Azem, when I was in grade 6 in Newtown School, right? Folks knew not those in the classroom to thief, but still broke into the classroom and shot on the floor in front of the blackboard, and then took the shot and smeared it across the blackboard. Why?
but that was the purpose of breaking in, not to steal nothing.
But that's what I'm saying.
That is
There's no
disgusting.
real reason.
they just do it for doing its sake.
They're really for doing its sake.
Yeah.
That is like.
If they break into lockers and find books out of the lockers, they're gonna take out the books still.
Yeah. They're
Because
vandalizing.
nothing.
Yeah.
So there needs to
Well-
be some kind of higher level of security measures taken to protect the lockers. Like it can't just be
Electrocuted after 5 p.m.
something, right?
Electric
I
fence.
electric fence.
Look,
That
you
might be a
wanted
good
to break
idea.
in, now you're dead.
Or like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
hall.
Why you didn't have to die, but you could get a good shock.
But it's just somewhere where they could kind of be protected from stuff. Like I was thinking put them in a classroom, but then you have to dedicate an entire room to put them in. And then put in a bunch of children in a room to get lockers, to access lockers, so.
I don't know.
We just feel sorry for the kids that have to carry the 20 pound.
Yeah,
bag.
all find a
It does not make sense.
solution.
It just don't make sense. It just don't make sense.
You,
I used to keep my books in the library in high school.
you know what I think?
I go to the library before I go to class, pick up whatever book I need, and go back to the class.
You know what I think, but may not how many people could afford to do this. Like kids already have tablets. Just program the books on the tablets.
First of all, you then run the risk of some
Somebody
old
stealing
school
the tablet.
teachers saying,
No. This teacher, the teacher.
the old school teacher, we want a technology in here, bring a book.
So just
Not
go-
just
I mean,
that,
personally,
not just that.
personally, I prefer.
And then you have
I
the
know, but
option
I'm
of,
just trying to figure out the best way to
Yeah.
not have these kids carry
I know.
20 pound books.
because then let's be honest,
They don't need them.
you think you could carry it?
Let's just acknowledge that they don't need them. How about that?
When we went to school, you think you
mean-
could have carried a tablet in the class and pull it out to open your book? Because you know that chalk duster was gonna chop you in your head.
Straight face.
Oh boy.
My one teacher tried on me. Anyway, let me know on my road. See?
A teacher tried just after you?
But is that regular by?
It happened one time.
Not to me though.
Not to me, though.
It happened
I
one
take it
time. And I just say, we can have a conversation outside, please. And the second farm, I was like, we have a conversation outside. Sometimes like if you have certain conversations in front of people, then people have to posture and
They don't make it worse. Yeah.
yeah. It's like we have a conversation outside. Never happen again.
Make you write lines.
You made him an offer he couldn't refuse.
You make him write lines.
We just had a conversation.
I had to do that once. Well, when my mom had to have a conversation. Because, yeah.
He never called my. I wonder if I ever called my parents at this school for a situation, man.
But I had
Once.
I had to call my.
Once, yeah. Once.
Not to me once too.
I decided there, I ain't taking no licks. So you're going to have to convince my mother.
Jade was
Why this?
Such a rebel.
I don't care.
Take your licks.
No,
You were wrong.
I wasn't.
Mami Savant, tell me, hey, let's sense bang me. She said, Mr. Armony, it doesn't make any sense anymore.
I was wrong. So I
Man,
was
stop
taking
it, me. We have a caller. Caller, good morning.
Morning caller. Oh, okay.
Fighting words, boy.
In here, early morning musing. Call back, of course.
Maybe have next Kevon, because I feel like we have some things to talk about.
I read one. I read the new introduction of the COVID-19 case. So to reiterate, we are now on 39 cases, 3 active, 36 fully recovered, 0 deaths.
Amen and amen.
Hallelujah. So let's talk about something that's, I don't want to read this, but I have to. Oh, we have the call, so let's take the call before we go. Caller, good morning.
What is live from the fish market?
Caller, we're not hearing you at all. We're hearing the background more than you. Okay, they hung up. Yeah, to that caller, we were really not hearing you.
That sound like the phone just dial us back and I didn't realize.
Yeah, we were hearing a lot of background noise. Not sure if it was an accident or you were actually trying to chat with us. But feel free to call back. Let me check the comments. Witty saying that her child is doing 9 subjects with up to 4 books for each.
Insanity. But no, I'm talking about children in grade 3 and so. I've counted it.
We never really had big books. We had big books, but it was just one per subject.
Yeah, like math.
Math was the big red one.
The big red one.
Chemistry was the big yellow.
If you had the
English.
sciences.
You had the big
physics
books.
book wasn't even that big.
The physics book really wasn't. But
Little blue book.
she's saying here, primary school, we had like maybe 6 or 7 books the most. Textbooks were provided by the school. Now her child is doing 9 subjects with like 4 books each.
Bro, and the problem I have, right, is that because of, okay, like I said, I've counted the books in certain children's bags. Like I'm talking between grade 3, grade 6. Sometimes there's 20 books, right? Not only that, you then have to go with whatever things for the project. So it might be you have to walk with a milk carton.
A volcano.
Like
A mini bag of rice.
yeah. On top of that, there's plus the pencil case, the geometry set,
The crayons.
the lunch bag, the water bottle, the hand sanitizer. Like there's watch it, right?
You gotta walk with
The bags. Look, this is
This
not an exaggeration.
tiny homes.
The bags that the children go to school with will not be allowed on an airplane as a
Literally.
carry-on. It's not I'm not exaggerating. The bags are too heavy to be legally carried on a plane. Like,
we're giving
what we doing?
children these to toddle with.
Yo, there must be a better way.
Justice for the
I can't
kids.
recall having that many books in primary school.
Why? You lucky if you had a book. You had man coming school with a book.
High school even worse.
But the thing is, too, even high school, if teachers will tell you don't need to bring the book, they'll tell you what days to bring your book, if you needed to bring the book at all. Because I remember our 4th form and 5th form, my bag was like just a cloth sack because nothing was in it.
Yeah, but you see the difference in the primary school is that the sessions are shorter. So
Right,
what that
so you
means is
more
that you end up
classes.
having more subjects per day.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's happening. Like when I tried to figure out why it is, like I said, let me see the timetables, and that's what it was. So in the morning, you might sometimes you might have up to 3 subjects,
Yeah, 3 or 4.
and in 3. So if you have, let's say, 2 books for each, that's already 12.
Oh God.
That's already 12 books right there alone. Not to mention the ones that have the textbook, the workbook, and your exercise book. So
That's on multiple workbooks.
3 by 12, guys. It's easy maths.
No, it's not because I don't do maths. Anyway, so let's talk about some not so great news that happened in not so great. Some bad news coming out of St Kitts. Oi. So, an elderly Saddlers man is recuperating after a brutal beating. The elderly man, who was found badly beaten in his Saddler's home on Monday, January 18th, has been identified as 68-year-old James Pinney, a family source told WINN Media on Tuesday morning. Penny, who will be celebrating his 69th birthday next week, was viciously attacked by an unknown assailant in the wee hours of Monday, January 18th. The distraught family source said that it was 2:30 a.m. and it was Monday morning when he was in his house where he was awakened by a noise. He was still lying in bed when he looked up. A man was over him and started chopping.
Oh my Lord, have mercy.
A photograph that made its rounds on social media showed Penny on a hospital bed with a black eye, swollen jaw, and wounds on his head. However, we understand that Penny was discharged from the hospital and is recovering steadily. The family source claims that the motive was a robbery, as Penny was at a bar the night before where he purchased a number of drinks. If you have any information regarding this, please say something, because this is ridiculous.
Yo, the hearts of men are wicked, you know.
Wicked.
That's wickedness, yeah. Yo, yo, but you know, hopefully, you know, we want to wish the victim a speedy recovery, and that there's no lasting physical damage, because we know there's no way of escaping the emotional and mental trauma.
Boy.
You wake up in the night, 2:30 in the morning, and a man over you, and the man just start chopping.
That's traumatizing, boy.
He might want counseling. He might need to talk to a counselor.
What? I need counseling just hearing about it.
Right?
And I read it.
Yeah. That's wild.
You know, what would be interesting about that? You know, some old people just nonchalant about things. It'd be crazy if like you talk to him about it and he just like, well, you know.
Yeah, you got people like that.
Yeah,
but I do believe that.
It is what it is.
Yeah, I do believe that even if that is the case and he's being very genuine, trauma changes us.
Easily.
Trauma changes us. It might not change us all in the same way, but
And it might just be because, you know, some people just don't like to bother people with their worries and problems and stuff. He could very well tell you that he's fine, and then when he go home, like, every time he
Yourself to sleep?
yeah,
I can't sleep.
or can't sleep, or not comfortable because he just feels like it will happen again, or somebody going to violate his space like that again.
That's quite natural.
Sorry?
Yeah,
That's quite
you
natural.
know, become a.
Just like people who experience break-ins in their homes and so for days after they can't sleep.
They can't
There's
sleep.
people who
not
have to leave
comfortable.
the home.
Yeah.
One time when I was little, a man broke into my house, and even the next day, like, something that already dropped in my house, and I ran outside, like, full sprint.
Trauma is real, people.
Yeah, one time somebody broke into the house I was living at. So I was a lot younger, and I saw the person like moving through the house. But I was smart enough to just let it up.
Boy.
Don't say nothing.
Because they know you become a target.
Like, duh.
Every time I'm talking to my younger brother, you know. And we're talking about break-ins and so and invasions and thing. This is when we were a lot younger though. And then the man said one night he was sleeping. The man said, oh, like I remember one time we were sleeping and so and somebody was in the yard. So everybody was like, you mean somebody was in the yard? Because nobody know about this. You mean somebody was in the yard? The man said, I was sleeping and I opened my eyes and I was looking in the window. So I said, so what you do? The man said, I went back to sleep. And the man tell the story like years after it happened. You know?
So I wanted to do
Why
no,
man
like, I would that's the best thing, because you don't want to alert this person that you know, and then next thing it gets worse.
No, but the thing is, after you wake up, you say nothing.
The man said,
That's the weird part. It's like, oh,
the
okay.
man, remember listen, I remember that one time somebody looked through the window, man. Man, you tell him, I nothing, man.
Everybody like, what?
Watch here. One time, my dad actually like some people, and I talking multiple people broke into our house, and you know,
What?
yeah, honestly, you know, old time days, like people used to have hair grease in like a what are people called, like parchment paper. No, y'all don't remember.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that person thought that parchment paper that was on our dresser was money, so we could hear them pulling it. And my grandmother woke up and was like, she thought it was my dad first, so she called his name. And how the man answered, right? Like
Oh my God.
It's alright.
The man asked,
Well, he had to try, you know.
Man, I believe
the man asked her like his before, and my grandmother was like, sorry, you're funny. But my grandmother was like, so you think better, bitch? So she started to scream for my dad, and my dad actually ran them down the road, and you know, Lonely Road, he caught one right there and then ran them to the police station. You could imagine how awkward that conversation would have been going to the police station.
there's
After I
good
just robbed you.
old days. There's good days when man had a gun, yeah. That can happen now.
Yeah.
You don't get touched.
But
Let's go.
old people
I'll
used
bang
to
you
be,
with a pipe.
not saying I'm that old, but he is, but older people really brave, you know?
Watch
Very.
it. Watch it. Them fellas, and then
Who
women
born, them man who born in the 50s.
in the 50s. Them man different.
Different breed.
There was a different breed.
They ain't care about nothing.
Watch it.
Where's this? Somebody take your bike?
Let's go look for
Maybe.
it.
Put it, let's go look for it. Yeah. Go down in night and hold him.
Actually, them people now who like in the 60s, 70s.
There was some brave souls, man.
That was different. Thank you, man.
Because I tell you, imagine
Hard life.
how far, you see where I live on Park Range, you see how far Lonely Road is to the police station?
What
And that
is
is
that,
literally like holding by his collar, like the
Walking
back
to
of
the
his neck.
station.
To
I'm
the
sure he gets some
station.
thump. I'm sure he gets some thump on the way.
Wouldn't you?
Easily.
Bye. But you know what happened? Is it where they go up in there? They go up in
That's
there
what I'm telling
without
you.
guns there.
Yeah, so
That's
you had
what
to
I'm
handle
telling you.
matters. You had to handle matters by confronting them.
So
and
ain't like
yeah.
so ain't like they don't care about the possible danger today. It's just that ain't a part of the psyche.
Right, I get you.
Ain't a part of the psyche. Something happen, we gotta deal with it.
Yeah.
No, when
Me
we,
and you know, man go up, see man get stabbed in school
So
and
it's
chop
like,
up and
I
so
mean,
just like, but if you hit me like I'm gonna just
No,
like,
once the house be good. The house okay, good. Going back.
sit down, man. Lock the door,
Yeah, when you knock
lock the
nobody.
door.
But yeah, that's one thing I would never forget from my dad. Because that was like, how you even? How you even?
And then many stories like from our parents' generation, like somebody violate or break in or something and something, and you go
They just handle it.
look for the man and bang him up. Don't break in my house again.
And
And
then when
then,
you see them on the street, like hail them and so.
yeah, they respect you after
Then the
that.
thing's like, hey, he don't pass me no way. No, he don't pass me no way.
Like you ask him, how you not parent? How you not that man? Bye.
I tell you, break in the house and I give some bull body. And ever since then, he go, they cut the grass and so now. But that will never happen today.
and then you pass down the road and you say, morning.
Morning, Mr. Bailey.
No, but that's a real thing. I got a story for it, man.
Yeah, we have a call on the line. Call a good. Oh,
We're not to the back.
Impatient by.
No, but that happened. Yeah, there's a guy who broke into he was breaking into my granddad's house like regularly.
Yeah, you tell us.
Yeah,
You tell the story already.
yeah. And then like they coup him basically. I mean, I really went into the story, but they coup him. They caught him on a Sunday morning. Cause he wait until we go to church. Naturally. So yeah, and then Lix was in it so much so that the excitement of the encounter caused the church next door to have to mash up the whole church. There's too much excitement going on over in the other in the house next door.
That's the way they're washing out something.
But I know the guy.
And he's never done it again, I'm sure.
No, but I mean, he heal us. When he see me, he say, "Hey, Michelle, we grandfather." Yeah. I mean, he did say, at the time. He did say that ain't his fault. His grandmother, fix him. So he had to thief. He said he didn't really want to, but his grandmother put a spell on him. So he had to
He
thief.
said his grandmother walk up behind him. His own grandmother, he think, walk up behind him.
And I was looking at him telling me this, and I was like, this man genuinely believe this.
Then his grandmother walk up behind him.
hey, you never know, you know.
But he had to thief, like.
But
We have another call on the line. Fingers crossed. Call. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
Yeah. I need to change the topic. I could speak about something.
Sure.
Okay. This is concerning the football. There's rumors going around saying no fans
Mm-hmm.
whatsoever, just road child. but I think it ain't clarified yet, but the rumors going on.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first game supposed to be tonight. I don't know. I heard that it postponed. They just left to see. But what I'm saying towards that, last year, I don't know if they're over the limit. And then now the task force now is up on them.
Mm-hmm.
From last year, because
Yeah,
remember with the finals, right?
it was a big thing. It was a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they said they couldn't control the crowd. But what you saying now, if you know you had a limited amount,
Mm-hmm.
what you overflow, as people saying, I stand to be corrected. Like if you said 10 people supposed to come in, you're like 15, 20.
Mm-hmm.
And then now the task force is up on you now. He left the hard times now and we, especially who is vendor who look forward to making that money now for the football.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no fans. Nothing.
So you're saying that you're hearing ain't even limited fans is no patrons at all?
No fans.
That's what you're hearing.
Yes.
Okay, well.
I read it on somebody post,
Mm-hmm.
and that person like is in the media too.
Oh.
But I don't want to post nothing, and I do not post nothing unless
I ain't confirm it.
I'm calling. Yes. Make people look stupid. Eh? So I just make sure I get it good. See, I want two people write up first, and then I could post it.
We could probably have the newsroom ask a question.
Yeah, we could look into it while we're on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will like guy to look into it.
Yeah. Okay, no problem.
We'll do for sure.
And have a blessed Wednesday, same way.
You
Yeah, man,
too.
you too,
Thank
man.
you very
Take it
much.
easy.
Yeah, I actually heard that Friday is a match as well, and there's.
I was hearing that there was supposed to be one tonight, and the rumor is that he postponed. I don't know. That's what I heard.
You heard the same rumor?
That there was supposed to be a game tonight. And
Yeah.
that it would be postponed.
I heard about one on Friday, and that there was no patrons at all. So
They had one on
Last
Friday,
week
right?
Friday?
No, this upcoming.
Friday.
There's supposed to be one this upcoming Friday, and there's no patrons allowed.
But you see, the thing
But
is,
I don't know how true that is. Like the caller was saying.
you know, the saying, one tall get none at all.
Right.
Like, I think after you see the thing about it too, those incidents from the finals,
Mm-hmm.
I think really left a bad taste in the authorities' mouth. Eh? Like they caught a lot of flack for that. They
Not
caught
just
a-
that, it happened the first day and it happened again.
they
And
happened-
even like effort was made the second time too.
Yeah. So I think if it's true, I wouldn't be surprised if the position of the task force is like, look, obviously y'all can't control it.
Yeah.
You've demonstrated that, but you know, until we confirm reports, then
But me understand what like how you can control it. Is one entrance.
Is your line, I mean?
Yeah, like 2 minutes anyway.
no. I don't think that they can't. I think that
They don't.
yeah,
Want
but
to?
and so the position would be like you've demonstrated that you.
That you're careless. Well, we'll see how it goes.
We'll see.
We'll find out what distance is.
And I'm sure this is something that will be an ongoing, you know, situation. It'll probably develop over time. You know, trial maybe to get the league started. They might do no enough patrons, but you know, continue negotiations and working with the. That's what I would hope. I would hope that they're working with the authorities to limit it. The thing about it is that it is an event, and as the standing rules and orders go, it shouldn't be over 150 anyway.
That is true.
So hopefully they could get it up to there based on the task force recommendations. But yeah, I don't even think I could see it going above 150, even if they do allow fans.
Yeah, well, but as I say, if it's 150 minutes alone, nobody in the back.
How much the pack will hold?
Thousands of
Well,
thousands.
did you not see how much the last time?
I saw, but like, I mean, what's the actual capacity? Because
You mean with the corona thing?
No, the capacity
No.
of the venue. You
The
mean
venue.
football
The
stadium?
venue itself?
Regular in the corona time.
Regular.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't really think it has a capacity because there's lots of standing areas.
But there must be a
Capacity.
capacity. There must be a capacity.
Yeah, but
Capacity is a new word in the thing's vocabulary.
right.
by street.
The venue.
Events you just pile in till
Yeah.
you can't pile in anymore, and even if you can't pile in anymore, you could still pile in.
Yeah, because you go outside.
Yeah.
And then the rationale behind it is that everybody ain't gonna come. So
Yeah, but the only places I really see stated capacities are churches. They pretty much have seats, and then nobody don't really study that anyway.
And vessels to have
boats,
capacities. But
yeah.
outside that, like a football stadium,
Right.
people stand up and listen in the field.
Because then, like we said, the actual measured to see how many people could fit in the standing spot is
It's easy
It's just a space.
to determine how many people the stadium can seat.
by the number
But
of chairs
outside of that,
easily. But
because on this side there, right next to the wall, they got the concrete bleachers, which is just
free for,
slabs of concrete,
free
so
for
it's just
all.
like free for all.
Yeah. I mean, they would have an idea.
And then
They would
behind
have
one of
an
the
idea, though.
behind one of the goals on the left
They'll
side
have
of the
an idea
field
because
is
I think it's a FIFA-proof facility, so they would have all that information would have had. to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
oh, they would have had to
worked
measure it
and all
out.
that, yeah.
Wow.
We have another call on the line. Caller, good morning.
Good morning again.
Morning.
Welcome.
Yeah, this is me again. But how I feel now? I feel it's a fight still towards like either certain people in the football or something, because if you're going to lay so much people last year, we had more COVID case. Now we have less COVID case now, and we could control. What you did not say, a limited amount. How come you don't want none whatsoever now? You understand it, right?
Yeah,
That's how I understand it.
Yeah, but I think, you have to remember that the capacity was clearly over what it was supposed to be, so they can't do anything but to fix it in this way. Because truthfully, they weren't supposed to have that many people in the park, so you can't expect nobody to say anything when all the other things that are happening, they have stipulations, so they're not going to make a special exception for sports. Yes, it may seem like they did last time because for the last 2 games they went over capacity, but realistically they're not supposed to, so they're going to have to change it.
I understand that, yes, but with no fans at all, because we see certain open facility in America, especially in NFL. Remember that certain amount of fans.
Well, I know in the NBA there's only 9. In the NBA there's only 9 arenas that are allowing fans. Only 9 of them, and then those 9 are based on the state regulations. So they do have some places where they're not allowing any fans at all to view.
Any fans, yeah, I know that also. That's why I said the open facilities, NFL. Specifically, I talk about NFL. Yeah, because they're playing open stadium too.
Right.
So what are you paying for now? Just give at least 150 then or 200 fans. First come, first serve, and then you lock the gate. And then we don't understand because...
For most events, it's 150, so maybe that could be the capacity, but
well, listen to me, the football people, they're fighting it for us out here still, yeah. If you understand, because I spoke to one of them and they're fighting it for us because they need a little fans in there.
Right.
But as they say, the other side now, ain't want no fans, so it gotta be a fight somewhere. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I feel it's gonna be an ongoing development. I'm
Because
pretty sure
this ain't just the
negotiations will
football
continue.
come up with this, yeah. So it is what it is. I will stand for them still. But I'm fighting for me and my football people and so.
Right.
We don't want nowhere to go, the youth them don't want nowhere to go. We need the youth them out there to see certain things. So we just gotta know how to control it. We just say 200, and that's it.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm going to boil down to, Azem? I'm going to boil down to the dance then. If they will tell you this amount in a dance, and then when you go, you find a little more.
Right.
You're going to come right down to the dance, and then think it's going to be like a shutdown. So we just got to do what they say, and just live. Because even if we don't do what they say, we're going to still pay the consequences. And the consequences when we're going to hurt everybody. Straight down to the lowest man in the ghetto, in the hood.
So what you're saying is that you just want some reasonable reasonable limitations. Not that no limitations, but you understand there needs to be limitations. You just hope there's like some reason to it.
Yes.
All right, gotcha, man.
Same
Yeah,
here.
we understand.
Yeah.
Like what? Because we only have, as you say, one additional the other day, and he's 3 now, so 3 in isolation. Nothing else in St Kitts. We could control it and just say that nobody plays stupid cross the border coming with the community spread. And you know what I mean? We ain't got no community spread, nothing. We're controlling it good. We're doing a good job, so we could get a limited amount. That's how we see it. But as I say again, somebody playing spiteful. I give thanks.
All right. Thank you very much. So we're going to take a very short break and we're going to come back to more Island Tea on WINNmedia again. So we'll be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. WINN FM.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Horseroads Building and Nevis Centers are making lawn and garden easy. Come to Horseroads Building and Nevis Center now and get 25% off store-wide on our entire lawn and garden department. Yes! For the months of February and March, Horseroads Building Center and Nevis Center is making improving your lawn and garden easy with 25% off all garden supplies, garden equipment, garden accessories, including weed eaters, lawnmowers, and much more. Get 25% off all lawn and garden items happening now at Horseroads Building Center in St Kitts and Nevis. Horseroads Building and Nevis Centers, making home improvement easy.
Look to the east for the coming of a black king. Behold, behold, Christ in his kingly character, Christ in his kingly character, Christ in his kingly character, Christ in his kingly character. One love, brother man, say Rasta. Who goes, it must be Jaja. Thank goodness I don't have to wonder. I know he is forever. Christ in his kingly character, Christ in his kingly character, Christ in his kingly character, Christ in his kingly character. His foundation is in the holy mountains. Glorious things are spoken of thee, O city of the Almighty. He is the living legend of this Iowa, conquering lion of the tribe of Judah. Christ in his kingly character, Christ in his kingly character, Christ in his kingly character, Christ in his kingly character. Many know the truth and hide it. Many feeling the vibes and try to avoid it. But the truth must be revealed. And oh my God is real. Christ in his kingly character, 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 Christ in his kingly character. Behold, 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 the King of all kings.
Welcome back. The words of His Excellency, Sir Garnet Silk. Oh my gosh. That's my artist.
Garnet Silk, a legend.
That's my artist. That's my artist.
Remember that Garnet Sinclair be the next Bob Marley? That was what it was touted as, yeah.
I believe he would have been. Or at least somewhere close to it. What did you say?
So when they put all the pressure on him.
Like Bob, you trying to make the man live up to Bob Marley?
Robert Nestor.
Yeah, know how Garnet was now?
Garnet tired out.
I know that, but I mean like, imagine they tell you have to be as great as Bob Marley is like the pinnacle of all reggae.
It's only if you just take it on, like. From what I've heard from like his friends, like, he wasn't really that type of dude to like take on them things there.
No.
Just like go studio and sing.
Oh good Lord.
Wait, Rasta man.
Article.
But the thing is, right, my man was take on them things neither. Nope. As my man if you rich, he said, remember that. Maybe very rich.
Yeah. I remember there's this one friend of mine who did a thesis on Bob Marley, and the fact that was a whole act. And like the premise of the thesis was like, because he's saying one song play on the R&B, want all the people to see, bubbling on the top 100. And I'm just like, so all the interviews, all the other songs, every other career move, you want to discredit all the things with like two lines in a song?
That's usually how people are though. Like,
I'm like,
you could be greatest at whatever. They just need to find, they comb through to find one little thing. You don't even have to make sense in context for them to
discredit you, yeah.
Yeah, that's just people.
But the funny thing is, like, I always find it so interesting, the dynamic with like where, you know, Bob Marley is who is now in our minds, but at the time, you know, how there was that belief, at least in Jamaica, that, you know, the king of all kings of reggae at the time would have been Jacob Killer Miller and Inner Circle. Yeah, that was the band. That was the band at the time.
And Marley just creep up behind them.
Well, a lot of his notoriety came
from Europe,
and after he would have passed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you always have to wait till people die first.
But Marley become big outside of Jamaica, yeah?
No.
And it's only when they become a superstar, they say, yeah, he's from here.
Like Chronics too. They send him Chronics.
But that's usually how you get to them levels. You have people outside of your country have to take you serious. And then when they start taking you serious, the people in your country will look around like, wait, maybe he good for real, because other people say so.
But we talk about that even here locally with small acts. The same dynamic.
Oh yeah.
It's like outside of St Kitts, small acts is the band, and people outside of St Kitts can't understand.
What no?
Like when people start like new vibes and like new vibes.
Do you know going through that there still to this day? Are they singing for about 20 years? Sean Paul, yeah.
Yeah.
True.
But
Sean Paul still underrated in the Caribbean, but is seen as a staple in Europe. Yeah.
Everywhere. But you ain't see Sean Paul got a new commercial?
No.
Sean Paul
got a new commercial with Cheetos.
For sure?
No, that's not Sean Paul, that's Shaggy.
Not Sean Paul, Shaggy, my bad. Shaggy's one too.
Shaggy's one of them.
Example though.
Shaggy's an example
I don't even know, but Shaggy they get a lot of respect in Jamaica.
Yeah, Shaggy.
Yeah, but at the same time, he's just sort of like, I feel like he's not the same, but he's also one of those that kind of just.
Like, even though he gets a lot of respect.
He transitioned. He was one of the crossover. He was a crossover.
Shaggy got a new commercial.
But there was some of them, for instance, like Shabba would have been one who got big bag overseas, but still had respect in Jamaica and stuff like that. Yeah. Beanie, especially in the 90s.
Cartel.
He had collaborations with Janet Jackson.
Like, Beanie was hot out.
The king of the dancehall.
But Sean Paul had a collaboration with Beyonce too, so like even though they're not looking at them like them artists really had some of the biggest collaborations.
Yeah, like you would sit down and ask these people like, who wants to come to music festival? Nobody will call Sean Paul, you know?
And this man got hits.
And this man would put on a dynamic performance,
easily. Simple times. Let's see. Let's read another tea time. Hee hee. So, Jeff Bezos is set to step down as Amazon CEO, and Andy Jassy is set to take over in Q3. So, the Amazon CEO, Jeff Bezos, will leave his post later this year, turning the helm over to the company's top cloud executive, Andy Jassy. According to an announcement on Tuesday, Bezos will transition to executive chairman of Amazon's board. Bezos, who is 57, he founded Amazon in 1994 and has since morphed the one-time online bookstore into a mega retailer with the global reach in a slew of different categories, from gadgets to groceries to streaming. Amazon surpassed a $1 trillion market cap under Bezos' leadership in January of last year. It is now worth more than $1.6 trillion. The company has kept its succession plans quiet, although onlookers speculated that either Jassy or Jeff Wilk, CEO of Amazon's worldwide consumer business, would be Bezos' eventual successor. In August, Amazon announced Wilk will retire in 2021. Jassy, who's 53, will become CEO in the third quarter. He said, I am excited to announce that this Q3 I'll transition to executive chair of the Amazon board, and Andy Jassy will become CEO. In the exec chair role, I intend to focus my energies and attentions on new product and early initiatives. Andy is well known inside the company and has been at Amazon almost as long as I have. He will be an outstanding leader, and he has my full confidence. So, yeah, things that switch up in Amazon.
But you know what's wild though? You see all the money they made, but yet they had to get a lawsuit to make them pay their drivers their actual tips. But they're making all this money.
The same with Walmart too.
Same with everybody.
That's why they're able to make so much money here, because they just squeeze every cent out of every corner they can.
Same with everybody. Amazon will quicker. What do they mean? Like Walmart will quicker let stock go out the door than hire extra security to prevent it from happening.
Yeah, that's part of it. That's part of it. Sometimes they're still stealing, but just the time and the effort it would take. And
the resources it has to, the reuses.
They just don't even like self-checkout. You think they don't be seeing all them people just like scanning every other item?
Right.
But the profit margins are so big, it would cost them more to hire security at every single Walmart than to just let you steal like the bag of grapes.
Yeah.
I told you that when you're swiping a TV and you're coming up to a Kool-Aid package. Like, just go with it, I guess. But I feel like these companies need to not be as greedy as they are. The delivery drivers play an essential part in Amazon's day-to-day business. So just give the people their tips. Like you can't afford it. You're not going to go broke if you give the people the money that isn't yours in the first place. Greed. That is just greed.
I used to figure they're paying them a livable wage.
Oh, for sure?
I mean, yeah, that's the only what they get sued about. They get sued about the wages. So, yeah. I mean, it's always easy for us to look out there and be like, oh, you're making all the money, give more.
Yeah, but it's not your tips, is it? Tips is something that goes directly to the person that got the tip. So how is it?
No, that ain't how it work.
Okay, so if a business,
no, like for instance, if you go to a lot of businesses, right? They have different approaches to the whole tip thing. Some of them they pool the tips and then split it. Some of them, for instance, feel bad that I know this, but like strip clubs, for instance, like the tips go to the house. The tips don't belong to the strippers. Because it makes it seem as though like I'm intimately acquainted with the business runnings of strip clubs.
Oh.
But no, but the tips go to the house. The tips don't belong to the dancers, and then they get paid. They get paid out a percentage of the tips. But just like in any other business, like Amali saying, they squeeze every dollar. Like people like this in the dancers where they make the biggest profit, man. Not even the bar. From the time you enter establishments like that, everything is at a premium and everything has a cost. Your coat check, $10 for coat check, right? The upselling of the drinks, right? Like every single aspect of these businesses is designed to get money out of your pocket. No, it's for the house. It's for the house.
Well.
Oh well.
Let's see what else is there.
Big up Jeff Bezos one time.
Right.
Nobody could deny his vision and what he's managed to accomplish by being a disruptor. What I was? No, that's literally what you call them, like Netflix, Amazon, Uber. Yeah, to some extent.
Yeah, because YouTube, I realized that YouTube took the formula of television, just applied it to their platform. Because first on YouTube, the whole pitch for YouTube was unlimited videos, no interruptions, you just watch as however you want. Now some ads you can't even skip. Like the ads have to play full too.
Not if you have a MacBook.
Yeah, and you pay for the premium. YouTube Premium is awesome, eh?
Oh.
Yeah, but I don't. Now, I did the trial and it was great, but I actually don't use YouTube enough to need it.
Yeah, I use YouTube a lot, but I'm cool with I'm cool with the ads.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ads don't bother me. I was just paying attention to how.
The thing that bothers me though is not being able to close my phone and continue using the thing.
You think that would be a simple fix, isn't it?
No, it's not a problem. Like they do it like that.
It's intentional.
That's a feature you get me able to.
Because it was like that once upon a time.
You could have that if you use your browser.
Yeah, if you use a browser.
You used to be able to do that once upon a time. If you go on the YouTube app, you were able to exit and do other things while it played and close your phone. But then they removed the feature and made it a premium feature that you have to pay for.
Because that's what drives the premium. Like, is the subscribers that really paying for the experience? Eh?
Yeah.
The two things that make like those kind of apps work is the fact that they don't create content. So they're like.
Oh yes, that's true.
So for instance, like a TV station, like they have to pay, they have to curate, they have to. There's a lot of money that goes into creating content. With YouTube, is like, guess what, guys? You create all the content and we get all the money. Sounds like a deal? Yes, because I like being things.
You like being things. That's what you get.
But that's it for everything. For Instagram, for Facebook, we curate the experience.
Mm-hmm.
We do everything and they make all the money.
Mark ain't a robot.
Who Mark?
So Kevon.
No, for real, Mark ain't a robot. Y'all don't feel like.
Oh my gosh, you continue.
Y'all don't feel like he does move robotic. Like he moves like an AI.
You mean Zuckerberg?
Mm-hmm.
He's a nerd.
I know, but he's like the ultimate nerd, like top.
That's why he's a billionaire. True. He is the nerd king.
Man, I feel like he don't care about nothing. Like if y'all just watch him in the Senate when they call him to answer questions.
He's such a strange man.
But always, I mean, that's pretty expected, like response, because the truth is like they're asking him questions that like my 9-year-old niece like knows the answer to.
They're out of touch.
Yeah, there's also so it's more disgust. Like it's more disgust.
Like, y'all really asking me this? Y'all should know the answer to this already. Y'all supposed to be the smartest people.
No, it ain't even that. It's like y'all have no understanding of what we're talking about, but yet in a position.
But yet questioning and gummy.
And not only that, so whatever answer he gives, if he gives them the answer that he really wants to give them, they're not going to understand.
But you know, many news articles they were basically making fun of the senators because they have no idea how the internet works.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what happens when you keep electing all.
Yeah, we have dinosaurs. Yeah, in there. Yeah. Yeah. When you have dinosaurs in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But hey,
I get it.
Big up all the this like people who I'm saying they ain't special, but there's some special people. There are people who are important. They're important to the species, the human species.
They go.
Like Mark Zuckerberg, like Jeff Bezos, like Elon Musk. Like
kill me, boy.
the culture shifters, like they come and they shift culture. They shift the course of human history. Like you can't deny it. There's something different about them, and they have a role to play. Like it don't matter if I live 1,000 times, I am not developing the Tesla Roadster. You understand where I'm coming from? Like,
you're not creating a multi-billion-dollar empire from an app.
I mean,
taking
like,
other
people might be able to do that, but what I'm saying is like, I mean, talking about like money. I mean, talking about money and
level. He literally, Mark does literally ask people, right? Like he's a bully. He can ask you. He can see an app. He really like it. He can ask you if you can buy it. You tell him no. You know what he can do?
He can
integrate
make one.
all your features into his app.
He can make one.
But that's the opposite of a bully. A bully would just do it and don't ask you. It's like I give you the opportunity, boss.
That's what it is. He's coming to you.
He's more of a gangster than a bully.
Yes, that's the word.
He's like, here's the thing. I'm interested in this, and I prefer to just buy it from you and make it better.
Yeah, that's business.
But if you want to,
so your choice, because if you don't,
the people don't have the resources to make it better,
right?
Or to make it what he thinks it should be in his head.
But that's business.
And that's business.
That's business. That's business. That's the automobile industry. That's why half the companies using chassis from some other thing or some engine from somewhere. Like that's business.
And that's the issue that the government has with Mark as well. Like there's nobody that can afford to be his competition.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're saying like he just got a monopoly on social media and it's unfair. It's like that's the system you have created. It's called capitalism.
But I told you that they don't mind when they have monopolies, but when somebody else who they can't control or influence or do what they want them to do has it is a problem.
Yeah, but I do think it's a problem. I do think that regulation is necessary, especially when we're dealing with information and things that affect people's security and all of that. Like I think regulation is necessary, but he's worked himself into a position where, like Amali said, like it's very hard to compete. He buys out the competition or makes them irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
Makes them irrelevant.
The only person that he can't, I feel like the only app platform that he's not able to do that with is Twitter. I don't think he could.
Yet.
No, but I think it's.
Maybe I'll try to own it too.
No, but
Jack owns it.
No, but with Twitter, with Twitter, like Twitter will not be relevant in 10 years.
Yeah.
Twitter will not be relevant in 10 years.
Do you think so?
I know so.
Why?
Because it's been like that for everything else.
Been
like that for everything else.
I remember
Twitter has already started to become like that's why they're trying to integrate new things now. They're trying to the fleets.
And
they're trying to hang on.
Twitter's being.
They're trying to hang on, but once everybody starts going to a particular platform, then it loses its appeal.
Yeah.
That is why Clubhouse and so came up so quick. Tell somebody it's exclusive, and everybody rush to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because you got to do
and you got to somebody has to invite you, and you have to wait. You only get a certain amount of invites, and
especially black people. Tell black people this is exclusive. Oh,
what?
Must have it.
Must have it. And I said, like, I remember when I got invited to Clubhouse, there's maybe like 30,000 people on it. No, it's millions of people on it now.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
me know them so.
Is a speaking app, I guess.
A what app?
A speaking.
It's basically like Twitter, but
you could talk.
But it's like
Twitter voice.
So only. For instance, like Twitter is almost like everybody in a room shouting, but you could just pick out who you want to talk to, who you want to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
Clubhouse is like everybody in a room shouting, and then everybody could decide we all want to hear each other together.
The best way to describe it, think of if Zoom became a social media network.
Yeah, there's
but
like
without cameras.
So you're going to rooms.
You're going to rooms.
Topics.
You're going to rooms, but it's audio only. Not you can't type nothing. You can't video. There's only voice. And
really?
So it's almost like you know what it is. It's Yahoo. Remember when Yahoo was like in the Yahoo chat rooms was like big?
Yeah.
Yahoo chat rooms. Yahoo chat rooms.
Like a chat room, but with voice only.
With voice only. So you have to record and
then the thing is too, they have you're live.
You take the mic and talk.
You just talk.
Oh.
And then how it works too is you also
it's sophisticated.
You also
it's for intelligent people.
There's speakers in the room, so there's some people who are just in the audience listening, and there's some people who are actually only allowed to speak. And if you're in the audience, you can't speak. You have to raise your hand for somebody to
allow you to
give you permission to speak.
It's civil?
Yes. Well.
And then if of course, if you're a moderator, so like you control the room, then you can assign multiple. If somebody do something stupid or being disruptive, you kick them out the room.
What? There's order? I like it.
Yeah, but the thing is, part of the problem why all these apps become irrelevant is because people use the apps. And so in other words, the reasons that the apps become popular is because people continue using the apps and find the new ways that the developers themselves didn't even envision the app being used. But then that's actually the same reason why the apps then become irrelevant. So for instance, like TikTok. TikTok was really for kids.
And now it's all kind of big.
Like now everybody just there like being provocative and seductive on the app. So it's going outside of its intended thing, and it's becoming popular. But just like everything else, it will eventually become irrelevant.
But y'all know who have I feel like is the most powerful app? Reddit. When Reddit started doing something,
Jade, you got to Reddit, don't you? You just got Reddit, don't you?
But you don't got Reddit.
Jade, you just got Reddit?
Yeah, I've been on Reddit. Why?
It's just message boards.
Yeah.
Like Reddit don't actually do anything. Yeah.
No, but and they're so powerful. That's the thing. Like, imagine Reddit is the cause for the stock market turnaround.
Jade, where your voice sounds so?
Because every morning I am congested because it's too
Smoke
cold.
dog.
Smoke dog!
No, I just can't do cold.
Oh, okay.
So cold weather makes me sound like this.
Azem, No, look.
Azem no main sick. Azem would have done been sick. Leave me alone, okay?
Ah, yeah, Tim was 6 feet. Look at them, shoulder to shoulder.
You live in the same place, man?
From the same household?
Yeah.
And that's what you tell the task force.
Yeah. LOL.
Yeah, but I think that I don't know if I see the app as facilitating something that we have to learn. I don't know if I see the app as being powerful. I see the fact that we are now seeing the power that we have in numbers. I think that's the important thing. It's not necessarily like Reddit did this or whatever. It's just the fact that people recognize that if we all work together, if we all work together, that we could affect change and make things beneficial for us.
Yeah.
So I think that is the important takeaway, and I think we're going to see more of that happening.
Yeah, I can't wait for the movie about this.
Boa.
The stock market, how basically people who weren't investors, big investors in the stock market and all of that, Reddit decided that they're going to. A Reddit group decided that they're going to do exactly what investors do to other people to the investors. So they started losing money fast because they were like buying stocks and selling it. But the way they were doing it, it was causing the people who are actually like big stockbrokers and stuff to lose money. So now they're pissed because the people that they don't feel should be allowed to do this are doing it, and they can't do anything about it. All they could do is lose money, so they're pissed, basically.
So actually, remember we said we were going to talk about what happened, right? So somebody explained it best, and I took a screenshot of it because there was a giant surge in GameStop stock. I think I might have to put it up on my phone if I can't get it here.
That might have been a little bit of a oversimplification, but yeah, the same thing applies.
I'm trying to put it up to read it.
And for me, I think this is something that we need to recognize and pattern, even outside of the stock market. Same thing in real estate, same thing in business. Like, y'all ever go and look at the price of the land on the peninsula? No, it really ain't that crazy, yeah?
No.
It's not that crazy. I keep saying, like, if I can find like 10 people, I mean, just buy some land and just hold it. Like, if any of y'all interested in buying some land, check me.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, just hold it. You're going to eventually be a hotel.
True. That is so true.
I can't find it. Over it. Yeah, we'll find it and talk about it tomorrow. So we'll take a very short break and we'll come back to more Island Tea on WINN Media SKN. So we will be right back.
Found the sound. 98.9 WINN FM.
Horsford's Value Mart IGA is helping you spend less and save more. How, you ask? Essential Everyday and Equiline. Spend less on our Essential Everyday products and get the best quality, the best taste, and the best value. Spend less for all your family health and beauty needs with the Equiline brand of over-the-counter products. Horsford's Value Mart IGA is helping you spend less. With our Essential Everyday products and Equiline over-the-counter health and beauty care products. Shop smart and spend less at Value Mart, where price matters most.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Chapter a day, keep the devil away. Behold the heavenly truth, yeah. The works of His Majesty I done proclaim. Behold the Emperor, the works is perfect. Perfection is the key to life. Behold the Emperor. Yeah. Now the works are beautiful down here in this church. It is so sufferation and thy people. Rise every day now. Rise and guide that people through this struggle. Yes. Kings of kings and lords of lords and conquerors. Chapter interpretate. Keep you're the heavenly truth. Yeah, 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 yeah. Works of His Majesty, so powerful, so heavenly. You're the Emperor. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Welcome back to Island Tea with your faves, Kevon and Amali, and we are joined by our friend Roma Richardson. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody who's listening. Good morning, Kevon and Amali.
He in here, ready to terrorize. So before we jump into it, we like to ask our guests to tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is you do, so the audience can be familiar with the person that's about to terrorize the airways.
Okay. Good morning. Again, my name is Roma Richardson. I'm a Kittitian. I've been here like forever. Other than when I went to university. I used to have a program on another radio station talking about sex and sexuality. It has become one of my favorite topics to talk about, and that's what we're talking about this morning.
Awesome. So where we would like to start?
But this morning we're talking about sex.
Okay.
So off the I asked Kevon and Amali if they had any questions. Kevon said he has questions, so I'm really eager to hear.
Are you ready for the questions now?
Yes.
Why do we? Why? Let me rephrase it. It is necessary for children in schools to be educated about sex and sexuality. It is not. Why?
What's the question?
Why do we? Why do you think we are so hesitant about teaching children about sex?
Maybe it's just that we're teaching them weird things.
Because we teach them all sorts of other things,
and
all sorts of scare tactics to keep them away from participating in something they are essentially inevitable in participating.
They're told to have a lot of everywhere else.
You know, they have it wrong. They have it unsafe methods and all sorts of stuff, and you know.
That's what I mean by wrong, like unsafe.
Yeah, when I say wrong, you know, they do it unsafe. They do it with it in ways that are not it's not very safe.
Well, part of the problem is that some people are just ashamed to talk about sex. So sex still has all of the stigma and taboo and so on that's associated with it. Sometimes big adults have difficulty talking about sex. So imagine talking about it to children. And of course, people have legitimate fears about teenage pregnancy, about transmission of STDs and so on. So there's something valid about like the hesitance in terms of, you know, the life outcomes that can happen. But those things are only addressed or prevented if you actually talk about the thing. So if people actually know how to go about protecting themselves, how to go about ensuring that sex is enjoyable and pleasurable for them and their partner, those are the ways that you can address the very issues that they're trying to fight.
Okay. What's happening here? Okay. So when do you have would you want to see sex education in schools?
Sex education kind of exists in school and it's supposed to under health and family life. It's just as Azem said, sometimes people teach it how they want to and they omit the parts of it that's like, you know, are relevant. So I remember growing up in high school, all we used to learn about was abstinence really, and so, you know, you had the abstinence t-shirt there and I was like, buy the t-shirt and wear the shirt, but it didn't necessarily mean anything.
And nobody taught you what it actually meant.
It didn't necessarily mean anything.
I think a lot of times it also just takes this very biological thing. So these are the parts.
Right.
And
this is how you put on a condom
right.
if they get that far. But they don't talk about like how you talk about sex with your partner, how you even think about sex, sex and psychological wellness, sex and enjoyment.
Right. One of the issues that and we've spoken about it here, one of the issues that I feel needs to be focused on in our sex education is the whole idea of consent. Because I do believe that there's even adults that don't necessarily understand what consent is and the importance what role it plays, in sexual interaction, right? And I think that's something that needs to be taught, and something that it puts a lot of us in very uncomfortable positions, right? And instead of helping us to avoid uncomfortable positions, because we don't necessarily understand, like you said, the conversations that need to be had and the power that we have to give or take back consent.
So. That's definitely true. I mean, we have such misguided views about how to do things here. So people feel like, okay, if somebody said no, all you need to do is pressure them a little bit, and then that no can turn into a yes. You have ideas about just approaching people and working upon them, if you feel like it, or touching people however you want. Like here we are very, physically close-knit kind of space, right? So sometimes it's like, okay, I'll reach over and think Kevon and expect.
Kittitions, we have a physical culture. We're very physical, handsy with each other.
Yes, we handsy.
You see somebody, you see your friend, you tap a shoulder,
rub them down, and sometimes it's not even your friend.
Yeah,
and you just feel culture. Like you're kind of entitled to to people's space, so that when they respond and are like, I don't really like that, the other person is blamed for establishing. Those boundaries.
She bougie,
right.
She better than people, and weird, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, consent is one of the things that definitely have to happen in conversations about sex. And of course, you would talk about consent before you actually have the sex. And people have talked about enthusiastic consent versus non-enthusiastic or unenthusiastic consent. So enthusiastic consent is, just as the word suggests, you excitedly say yes. It's not that you take silence as consent, because silence is not consent. You want people to verbalize that yes. You want to know and see that they're into it, So that's something that has to be done. And great sex is almost always comes from great communication. So one of the things that I saw when I was reading up for this show, because that's what I do, someone said use your mouth, and it's good because it applies both to communication and to sex if you are interested in that. So use your mouth, actually articulate the things that you're interested in, what you like, what you don't like. Articulate your boundaries as well. Ask your partner to what are you into? What do you like? What do you want me to do to you? I mean, those things can help to serve multiple functions, including making sure that everybody is consenting to what is happening. But also you could actually get aroused from asking somebody, okay, well, what would you like me to do? Or the other person can get aroused by you telling them, okay, this is what I want you to do to me, and so on. People talk about involving technology in the conversation. So you send the person, once y'all agree that this is okay, a nice little message while they're at work describing wherever, and it builds that excitement. So communication, it don't have to be dry and be like, all right, where would you like me to put my, and it could make for very great sexual experiences.
Like everything, communication solves almost every issue, but we just don't like to talk to each other. So.
At all.
That's true.
You mentioned enthusiastic consent, and then is unenthusiastic a word? Consent that lacks enthusiasm. Let's dive some more into that. What would you use as an example of giving consent unenthusiastically?
Okay, well, someone, let's say you're already there, maybe both of you are already naked and it's about to start. And then the person is like, okay, you ready? And you're like, okay, all right, you could go ahead, I guess. That don't sound very enthusiastic to
or convincing.
Or convincing. And sometimes it's like, the person really doesn't say anything, but you could tell from their body language that they're not resisting. That they're not feeling it.
There's apprehension.
And whenever you see apprehension, the appropriate thing is to stop, and be like, we don't have to do this if you don't want to do it. Are you comfortable with this? I can stop. it's not to be like, all right, she kind of say yes, so let me just continue. That's when you end up in prison.
You know, I have a question for you. And you know, we talked about the different types of consent and stuff. But something that is we often hear Kittitians talk about is that there's this strange dynamic of pursuit where some people, and it's both genders, not just women, they feel as though being hard to get is how to get them. So then you also have people, you know, that have lived and breathed and eat this I have to chase you down to get you, so I have to fight for what I want kind of mentality. And then you have to try to get them to understand consent, which is difficult because then, you know, for them it's like, well, I got to take what I got to go after what I want. So then how
and it
do
goes
we
both ways, Kevon.
Right, that's what I said, it goes both ways, because you know,
if you do not pursue after the initial
denial,
the initial block, then it's seen as you weren't really interested.
You weren't interested, you didn't really want to get me, you didn't try hard enough.
I've got it. Because when I talk to people, like, I listen to what they say, like me and trying to pray and thing, and you will say no, like it's not, you know, I'm not asking you again.
Like you didn't work hard enough.
And then I will meet the same female like a year on the line, and she said, "Boy, I used to like you, bad enough." I said, "But show you and you ain't take me," and she said, "But you enjoy hard enough." And I'm just like,
that wasn't the impression you were giving me.
Right. And some people is like, you know, they have to be convinced, or like you had to pressure and pressure and pressure.
You got to show me that you're interested. You got to prove to me that you're worth my time.
And even physically, I've actually heard, I can't recall it ever happening to me, but I've heard stories of, you know, a man and a woman would be laying in bed or whatever, and he would attempt to, you know, move the situation into that direction, and she would resist. And the next day she was like, "What happened last night?" And he'd be like, "Well, you resisted him, so."
No, that's a big thing.
But if you want to, you should take it or you enjoy hard enough.
No, but
or just because
I think like a lot of things are happening in those scenarios. Like one of the things too is like, remember, women are taught that they ain't really supposed to be eager about sex, and they're definitely not supposed to be forthright. They're not supposed to be the aggressive ones, and so the impression is that if the person says okay, like on your first ask, it might mean that, oh, this person easy, this person has done it a million
to be
times,
perceived as a whole,
and you know, so there's that, and I think that's like, you know, an understandable kind of response too. But then people also are not owning their sexuality and owning their sexual interests and their desires and so on. So there's like just all of this clothing sex. I mean, that could be solved, you know, or could be addressed if people would just like talk about it. Maybe sometimes though, people do like being, you know, pursued. If you're talking about like bondage and sadomasochism and things like that, where it's like people establish, okay, yeah, I like it.
I want to control.
This is the dynamic, right?
Yeah. So it's like, you know, every relationship is gonna be like individual specific, and that's why it's important to talk about it. So it's like, if the woman or whoever it is genuinely without like, you know, societal prescriptions or thoughts, and so is interested in having that person like pursue, then she can say, listen, this is what I like, right? You know, this is what I enjoy. I enjoy when somebody run me down, hold me, whatever, make me feel wanted and so on, you know. But people just need to talk about it.
Yeah, I definitely think, you know, if you want a certain dynamic, you make it clear, you know, chase me. That's what I want you to do. So then when you have, you know, now I give you permission to do that, versus me just expecting it and then I fuss in the morning. How come you ain't chase me down?
Part of it is a test, and that is
it's
the
a
problem.
test too,
Tests, I tell people, don't test me, I'm gonna fail. I'm gonna fail. No, like, don't test me, I will always fail.
And people aren't mind readers, so it's like,
oh my gosh.
I mean, you do like one thing, okay, not one thing, but you know, you're accustomed to having sex a particular way, you know, these are what you like and so on. With a new partner, you can't come in expecting that person to know what you've been doing for the past 20 years. It's almost like starting over again. So it's like you could come in and be like, okay, well, you know, I've come to really enjoy X or Y or whatever, but you can't expect oh, this person been doing it for 20 years, so they must know how we go. Everybody is so individual, and like sexual preferences are very like specific to who you're actually dealing with.
Oh my gosh.
I could
I hate the mind reading, boy.
I could switch lanes a little bit, and the reason for this is, it's based on the story I've been following with T.I. and Tiny, and I don't want to talk specifically about that, but it did raise some questions, in my mind, because I want to be very careful here. Cause these thoughts were triggered by the situation, but I'm not talking about them or the victims or anything like that. The issue of people being in uncomfortable situations, and using substances to try and become more comfortable and stuff like that, and how that dynamic plays into the experience. So, for instance, I would have had a friend who came to me in confidence. This was a while back, and she woke up next to someone. It was someone who she had been intimate with before and had they weren't in a relationship, but they were intimate before this particular encounter. But she woke up and could not remember if she gave consent. She blacked out because she had been drinking, right? And so she was very uncomfortable with the position she was in, because one, she doesn't remember if she gave consent, so she didn't know if she could say something and potentially threaten this guy's freedom, right? And so that this whole thing with Tiny kind of bringing back that scenario to me, because I feel like there's a lot of situations where we don't take full responsibility or accountability for our actions in terms of what we ingest and what we put into our bodies, the things that we do to make us comfortable and loose and whatever, or even in some people's mind to enhance the experience, and how that plays into the feelings after and before. And I don't think that's something that's normally talked about, and I think that's something that's a discussion that I would like to hear more of. Is there a reason why we don't, in your opinion? I think it's important. Do you think it's important that we have those conversations as well?
Yes, but I think it's important that we have the conversations on both ends. So you as the individual, being mindful of your surroundings, of what you're drinking, making sure not to leave your drink here and there and everywhere, sticking with your friends if you have friends, not necessarily wandering off. But on the other side is the person who takes advantage of that, or the person who isn't necessarily so aware and isn't thinking, okay, well, if this person falling down in the drain because they're drunk, I probably shouldn't try to have sex with them. Because there's a list of...
You have the opportunist.
Right. And there's a list of, situations or states that you or anyone can be in where you can't give consent, and being drunk or under the influence is one of them. Obviously, we know a minor can't give consent even if they say yes. Right. Legally, it will not stand up. Same way, if you drink and you're drunk, you can't give consent as well. So the person who is on the other end seeing that needs to just be and even if the person is throwing themselves at you or whatever, you just be
there's a responsibility.
Just calm down. I'll make sure that you get home safe, that you're in.
Oh, where's your friends? You ask the questions. Where's your friends? Oh, they're over there. Okay, let's go to them.
Even carry the person backstage and be listen, this person can manage on their own. So
make an announcement or hold security
somebody,
something.
But none of that. really happens, you know. So
Right.
like the conversation has to happen on both ends.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the times too, there might not be anyone who is in a state to be responsible in some of these situations. You know, and for me, it's like just being mindful. Like, I think there's sometimes where people unintentionally get to a place where, you know, they might not have their full.
I mean, it happens every
senses.
Juve.
Yeah.
Every Juve, you're going to say, okay, I'm going to drink one drink. Next thing, the food punch the one punch that you had was really, really strong, and that was enough to, like, you know, knock you out. So sometimes you don't even intend to do it.
Yeah, sometimes it's unintentional, you know.
Yeah, it does.
That's why I keep telling people, like, you gotta be mindful, because I felt her discomfort at the time, like when she was talking to me, and then like seeing these situations again where there was obvious like drug use involved and things like that, and how does that play into the whole dynamic? If everybody drunk, if everybody, you know, a little high, if everybody a little nice, or whatever it is, like, because I didn't have the answers. I was like, so he was drunk too? She was like, we were drinking, like we were hanging out at his house, we were drinking. So I was like, well, because I don't want to tell her, don't say nothing, because, well, you don't know, and you might like screw up this entire dude's life. I don't want to. I said, you gotta talk to somebody.
There are no answers, and I actually spoke to a counselor in Canada about this once. And when she finished describing to me, you know, what basically the options were and thing in terms of the dynamic and what comes into play when two people are intoxicated and they end up, you know, having sex, right? Basically, what came down to it is who got to the police first, right? And that's really, really unfortunate, because, and that brings me to my last question for you as well. I was thinking about it, well, yeah, we're having a back and forth. The whole issue of quote-unquote blaming the victim, right? I understand that there are people who would actually literally blame the victim and say, well, you shouldn't have worn a pansy and thing. But I believe that that term is loosely used when people actually advocate for women especially to take some responsibility for environments that they're in, actions that they take, and the company that they're with. And when I say loosely, I mean, we spoke about it the other on the show. If somebody breaks into your house and you call the police and the police come to assess the situation, they say, well, how did they get in? And they say, well, I left my door unlocked. The police will be like, well, you really shouldn't leave your door unlocked. I mean, you know, people are on the street, they're thieves, they're criminals, they're hungry, whatever the case may be. You call them back a week later for another break-in, and they come and say, well, how did they get in this time? And they say, I leave my door unlocked again. They're going to start to wonder, well, you're just irresponsible. Like, the first time you call, they ain't coming, right? And I believe the same goes for teaching our children, the boys and the girls, from a very, very small age up to when, you know, they get to adolescence and adulthood, to take some accountability as it relates to the things that they do. I have friends who I went to school with who would go downtown to the club and get blackout drunk and wake up in somebody's bed who they ain't know, and tell the story the next day and then do it again next week. So what is your stance on the whole, the phrase blaming the victim and how it is applied to situations like that where people can actually take steps to protect themselves again? Because there are monsters out there. They're rapists, they're murderers, they're kidnappers. And we all in society have to play our part in protecting ourselves from them. We buy burglar bars for our house, and our doors are unlocked for a reason, because we know that there are people out there who will break into the house. I'm not saying that if somebody
they have a right to do so. If there's no,
they're not right to do so by any means. However, but we understand that there are different types of people in society. So what is your take on the whole term of blaming the victim and how that plays into how people apply it to different situations? Because I think it's a very sensitive thing to discuss, and not many people discuss it for fear of being accused of blaming the victim.
I feel like I would start by saying the only thing that can prevent rape is rapists not raping. So people should, even if it's irresponsible or whatever, be able to get drunk, fall along in the street, and nobody do you nothing. you should be able to do that.
I
right?
would love for that to happen as well.
We aren't living in that world, but the solution isn't to tell, because there are so many instances where there's no alcohol involved, there are no drugs involved, you wasn't in a dark alley, you ain't had on a short pants, and those things still happen. Which comes back to like really the only thing that can prevent it from happening is people not doing it. You could take all the precautions that you can, and it could still happen. So like, I will never blame a victim. My stance personally is to believe the person who has come forward. That is like immediately like and just naturally what I do, right? So I don't need innocent until proven guilty and then kind of things there. I just believe the victim, because it takes so much for you to come out and say this thing happened to me, right? So it's like the only thing that can prevent.
So you believe that you know, believe the victim. Anybody comes forward, the first instinct is to believe them and to support them, etc. What about the person who is accused? Because there are several instances where people are wrongfully accused of these things.
Yeah, but the percentages of that are like small.
No, at the same time, it does happen.
But the percentages are small. And compare that to the rate at which we disbelieve survivors or people who come forward and say that has happened. That is like, so like the false rape claims, I found it in a book earlier, it was like 2 to 8% or something like that, very small. And the rate at which we disbelieve survivors is like 90-something%. It's almost automatic that if someone says this happened to me, especially dependent on who the accused is, it increases the likelihood of the person being disbelieved.
Yeah.
So.
But I don't think that is specific to sexual cases though. I think that's just how we are as humans. Like, it's if somebody come and tell you like, bye, I tell the priest hold $5 to me, and the priest just walk out and give me $5, and be like, really? Like, why? Or like if you go to the bank and say like, I really and truly, that teller there just take my money and just. You're gonna be like, why would they do that? You know? So my take on all of this is, I don't think we have to pick a side. Like, that's why I don't like the idea of feeling like a picking a side. And not specifically what you're talking about, where there's accused and potential perpetrator. I'm talking about in situations where like Amali was talking about, where things may happen and people might have felt like they were in an uncomfortable position for whatever reason, and there wasn't an intended infraction, right? Generally for me, even in cases where there were, I can say that forcefully engaging with somebody sexually without their consent is wrong. And I stand by that, and I believe that. I could also say, and I believe that I could also say, that we have a responsibility to protect ourselves. So I don't think by me saying that we have a responsibility to protect ourselves absolves the perpetrator of the
and that's
consequences.
My point.
I think that's what happens. We usually do this thing where we want to pick a side for fear of.
And sometimes we want to do both of those things at the same time. So it's not necessarily in the moment where somebody has said, you're at the police station for the police taking your case to be like, well, next time you should, or this is what you should.
No, time and place, definitely.
Right. So it's like,
and it shouldn't happen right after
you
committed.
You learn, right? And so you decide, okay, well,
and this is why I brought
necessarily want to give up on the drinking thing, but next time I will go out with a friend who is responsible,
take different precautions,
and things like that. But
that's why I brought up the whole thing about instilling it in our kids as well, our young boys and our young girls as well. The same way parents tell the children, don't jump into strangers' car. Don't speak to strangers. Stick on this side of the street. When you're coming home, walk on this road.
But you also need to tell people, don't kidnap the children. So both of the conversations have to be happening.
Yeah, but the people who kidnapping children, no, it's wrong. Telling them not to kidnap people ain't gonna change nothing.
Okay, well, I Maybe it's not conversations, you know. Maybe it's stiffer
It's
penalties.
And reporting and people, talking about what they see, that kind of, because we recover many things.
Right.
Right? And family members would know that they have a son or husband that does trouble little boys, trouble little girls, and keep it to themselves.
Right.
So the society has a part to play. Everybody has a part to play in it, in keeping these people at bay. Because these people, if you, as a father, something your own man, think it's okay to molest a 6-year-old girl, you have a mental illness, right? You're sick. So it's not as simple as just saying, bye, you shouldn't do that. The person needs help. The person needs help, and the person needs other people in society to actually come forward and say, listen, like my brother, like he has these tendencies, and we need to sort out this here because people's children are at risk, right? And that's why I say it's important for us to just instill these values in our kids from a young age to protect themselves and to take precautions. Just like how...
And respect others as well.
Respect others. Just like how, when you go to university and so, one of the main rules when you go downtown is never leave a drink unattended. Right? And that goes for everybody, not just women, because there are sick people who like to play sick games or who have these mental illnesses who just want to mess with people. Right? And they're among us. You go down 4th Street now, there are people who are rapists that are walking past you. Right? We don't know who they are, and that's why I think it's important for us to talk to our kids. Talk to our young girls or young boys. When you're walking home, make sure you're coming home with somebody. Blah, 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 walk in these areas. When you're going out to party, if you want to get blackout drunk, that is your right, that's your privilege. But just ensure you have somebody with you that you trust that can take care of you in the event that you become, incapacitated, for example, right? Because it's unsafe for anybody to be blackout drunk and where they be, man or woman, right? So that's just my thing there. But people are afraid to have these conversations for fear of saying, oh, wait, so you're saying she fault, she get raped? Or you're saying she fault, the man should blame it?
Yeah, like the positions are mutually exclusive.
Yeah, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there are sick people and we need to protect each other from them, period. But that's just my take on the matter.
I mean, the only thing I can say is, but simultaneously,
Of course.
Teach, yeah.
Of course. We must teach it like when it was by.
We must not normalize sexual violence. We must not treat it like it's a regular part of life or like a rite of passage, Yeah.
We have to teach the kids about consent and about mutual respect and about
we have
boundaries.
to continue to teach adults about it as well. And to know that, because the person is a small child, it doesn't mean that you are entitled to that child. So there's that too.
Yeah.
So much.
It's a lot. But we all have a role to play, like I said.
We do, yeah.
Like I said. So
definitely agree with that.
We can't remain silent. So Jade, if you know of anyone that needs help, please come forward.
Good advice.
I will, thank you.
And I will as well.
Yes, you should.
I will as well. I don't know anybody though.
Well, Roma, we hope to have you back because I think this conversation needs to go on even longer. So,
and we didn't even fully talk about talking
right?
about
You come with your whole ledger, and we reach what, 2 sentences?
Just close it,
Save it, mark the page, because we can bring it back. So maybe next time we could do an hour, so we get even more time, which still ain't gonna be enough.
That's why talking about sex is so important. We didn't talk about talking about sex,
right.
But there's so much that
many
spills
avenues
over into just like how you operate in society.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks. Okay, bye.
Oh Lord. Anyway, that brings us to the end of our show. It's hump day. Hump day.
Sorry.
It's okay, express yourself. It's a semi-safe place.
Consensual hump day.
I see what you did there.
Oh my
Thank
gosh.
you for noticing.
That's outrageous. Anyway, thank you folks for listening, for joining us here on WINN FM 98.9 once again on Island T. Please drive safely. I said they're making haste with these traffic lights by.
But they're wasting no time.
Wasting no time at all.
I need them to finish up the roundabout though.
Huh?
Hey, speaking of which.
By the airport?
Yeah. Speaking of which, yeah, I realize how smooth the traffic running with no lanes in the roundabout. But I digress.
Yeah. The airport roundabout, because they dig it up, they ain't got no lanes, and it's smooth sailing.
Fascinating, eh? But okay. I said this Friday, the lanes, one lane going into two lanes, going back into one lane, logically doesn't make any sense.
Yes, sir.
You're creating a bottleneck that didn't exist prior. You literally created a bottleneck for no reason, because there wasn't one before.
Yes, and you have people crossing over each other in a roundabout, and it's dangerous. Anyway, where it makes sense, eh? It makes no sense. Making sense, it makes no sense. But drive safely, don't drink too much and drive. Please try and use the roundabouts correctly, except the one at the airport, which has been dug up, so it's working wonderfully by itself now.
Indeed.
Without arrows, without lanes, without signage, and it's just a breeze.
Something coming, you stop. Nothing coming, you go.
Exactly. It's fascinating, man. Anyway, big a mistake about one time. And our friends at Public Works. But yeah, drive safely. Don't drink too much and drive. Use the roundabouts correctly. Please indicate when exiting the roundabout. Don't overtake in the roundabout.
You're laughing and it's true.
And don't switch lanes in the roundabout, please. Also, please remember to park your vehicles in a responsible manner to allow our waste disposal engineers to collect our trash effectively and efficiently and on time. If you park bad, the truck can't pass. You can't pick up your garbage, you can't pick up your garbage, your street smells stink. It's a health issue.
No, we don't want that.
We don't want to back up our trash on nobody's street. So please, guys and ladies and in between, do the right thing and pack your car responsibly. And lastly, I plead and I beg for our Attorney General, the Honorable Vincent Juicy Byron, to take some time to sit with us or anybody else to address one of these archaic laws we have in St. Kitts as it relates to 1, sexuality, and 2, what kind of the second one was?
How you phrase it? But basically, the disparity between how we treat our young boys versus how we treat our young girls.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Justice for Jack one.
We want equity. Justice for Jack one, indeed. So what we'll do is one of these days, Bailey, we can sit down and go through these laws and amend them and
pass it on.
Pass it on.
No white paper.
We won't just views. We bring suggestions and solutions. And if it knows, then we can go down
Mr. Limo House.
Church Street and pick it.
Go to Mr. Limo House. Yeah, we got to go.
And pick it. Anyway, and lastly and most importantly,
you can't be everybody's cup of tea because you're not a mug. See you tomorrow.